Good morning and welcome to Newsfirst Prime Time Sunrise.
It's a crisp Friday morning and we are coming to you live from a hive of activity which is unseating with regards to the hour of day or night. A very good morning, I'm Shane Silva.
A very good morning, I'm Mahina Bongso. As Shane said, we are coming to you from a very busy place. That's the Sri Lanka Harbour, where the dry container terminal at the Sri Lanka Harbour. And we've been here since 4:30 in the morning, Shane, and it has been non-stop activity, a hive of activity with containers being loaded and unloaded from massive ships. As you can see behind us, we have the Berlin Express, which has been berthed here from around 4:30 in the morning, Shane.
That's right, Mahina. But before we go into the Jaya terminal, and we also have a guest speaker, a guest visitor who will join us later on in the bulletin. But before that, let's take a look at your headlines.
Maldivian president leaves the island following the conclusion of his official visit. Investigations launched into the death of a Sri Lankan domestic worker in Kuwait. Chinese foreign minister says that Syria's different parties need to work towards a political solution and seek a middle ground. Sri Lankan cricket squad leaves the island for series against Bangladesh.
Taking a look at your stories in detail now. Maldivian President Abdullah Yamin Abdul Gayoom, who arrived in the country for a 3-day official visit, left the island yesterday.
The Maldivian president boarded a Sri Lankan Airlines flight bound for Maldives at around 8:40 p.m. yesterday. He arrived in the country on the 21st of this month. During his visit, Abdullah Yamin Abdul Gayoom held bilateral discussions with President Mahinda Rajapaksa and also linked a number of MOUs.
Well, we're coming to you live from the dry container terminal here from the Colombo Harbour. It's a beautiful day, and as you can see, vessels coming in bearing containers from across the world coming here to the Sri Lanka Harbour. We're going into another local story. According to the Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment, a female Sri Lankan migrant worker in Kuwait had hung herself from a ceiling fan.
Deputy General Manager of the Foreign Employment Bureau, Mangala Randhane, notes that the Bureau as well as the Sri Lanka Diplomatic Mission in Kuwait have commenced investigations into the death. Randhane added that it had been revealed that the victim had left the island in 2009 under falsified documents.
Well, Shane, as we said earlier, it is a hive of activity here at the dry container terminal, and this is one of Sri Lanka's main commercial hubs, and one of the main commercial hubs in Asia, for that matter. The Colombo Ports Authority really adds a lot of value to the Sri Lankan economy through all this operation that we see happening around us. And to talk to us more about it, as we said earlier, we have a guest joining us today. Shane, would you like to give an introduction?
Yes, Mahina. He is none other than the additional managing director of the Sri Lanka Ports Authority. We have with us this morning Mr. Janaka Kulukulasurya. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Mr. Kulukulasurya, now if you could elaborate to us and explain to us about the Jaya terminal. We understand that it's in 4 stages, if I'm not mistaken. Could you just tell us exactly about the Jaya terminal?
The Jaya container terminal consists of 4 stages, varying from stage 1 to stage 4. The main difference is the depth in each and every terminal. Stage 1 stages at 11 meters and stage 4 it's 15 meters. So depending on the size of the vessels and the depth of the vessels, we use the different terminals.
Mr. Kulukurasuri, could you just explain to us the size of the vessels or the capacity of the vessels that actually come into the Colombo Harbour to this terminal in particular?
Yeah, particularly the stage 4, the terminal number 4, we can accommodate nearly 9,000, 10,000 containers vessel. We have the depth of 15 meters. But when we consider the other side of the port, South Container Terminal, there we have the 18 meters depth we can accommodate the largest container vessel in the world now.
Now, Mr. Kulukulasuriya, just to elaborate on the Colombo port. Now, we understand that there are a number of terminals that comprise of the Colombo port. If you could just elaborate on how the Colombo port has been performing in the last financial year, or maybe the last financial period. We understand that there has been a kind of a decline in global shipping operations, but how has the Colombo port, how has that worked for the Colombo port?
Yeah, with the decline in the world shipping trade, we were able to achieve a positive growth during the last year. We handled 4.3 million containers at Port of Colombo. Out of that, 2.5 containers were handled at the Jaya Container Terminal. That's a government-owned operated terminal. We have 2 other terminals, private-owned terminals. Both are on public-private partnership basis, but we are promoting the Port of Colombo as one unit.
Okay, and also Mr. Kulukulasuriya, just talk to us a little bit about the importance of this terminal, particularly for ships. What are the ships from which countries do most of the ships come from? Is it Asia, Europe? How does it work?
It's not from the countries, it's from the shipping lines.
Okay.
So basically we handle the containers of the Indian subcontinent, which diverge to both west coast and the east coast. So our main business is the transshipment business. We collect the containers from the main vessels and distribute among the Indian subcontinent. Vice versa, we collect from the Indian subcontinent and hand it over to the main vessels. So out of the total container volume, more than 75% of our containers are that business, that is we call transshipment business.
One last question, Mr. Kulukulasuriya. Now, we understand and we saw for ourselves that the Colombo port has been a hive of activity, regardless of the time of day. Now, what is the contribution that the Colombo port as a whole makes to the national economy?
Not only the Colombo port, when you consider the shipping sector, I think at the moment it's contributing 6 to 7% to the national economy. But our plan is to raise this to become the highest contributor in the world, in the country within another 7 years' time, that is in 2020.
Thank you very much for joining us, sir. That was, of course, Mr. Janak Kulukulasuriya speaking to us, the additional managing director of the Sri Lanka Ports Authority. Really, Shin, this is a historic occasion for Newsfirst. We are the first and the only news provider to venture out of the newsroom and come here to the Colombo port or the Colombo harbour to bring you the news live from here. There's been a lot of staff working with us here, a lot of people behind the camera who you don't see, but it has been a team effort, and for that we are grateful to the Sri Lanka Ports Authority for giving us that opportunity. But Shane, let's go into another local story.
Yes, Mahina, the Joint Committee of Teachers and Principals Trade Unions staged a demonstration in Kandy yesterday, calling on officials to fulfill several demands.
The promotions given to teachers and principals have come to a halt. The 1997 salary proposals have not been enacted as yet. So at the Joint Committee of Teachers and Principals Trade Unions, we staged this protest to inform the officials about these issues.
Inspector General of Police N.K. Ilangakun notes that a program is underway to curb the trafficking of heroin. The IGP noted that all DIGs have been tasked with submitting a plan to handle the menace of drugs in their areas.
IGP N.K. Ilangakun went on to note that all DIGs were summoned to Colombo recently to engage in a discussion on how to curb the menace of heroin. The plans that were discussed during this meeting would be enforced from the 1st of February, according to the Inspector General of Police. Ilangakun also notes that there is a decrease in the amount of criminals engaging in heroin trafficking.
We are coming to you live and direct from the Jaya Container Terminal here in the Colombo port in Colombo, Sri Lanka. And now, as Mr. Kulukula Surya, the additional managing director of the Sri Lanka Ports Authority, mentioned a few minutes earlier, a number of vessels of different sizes berth at the Colombo port on a day-to-day basis. And just to give our viewers an introduction, or just to indicate to you exactly what the size of these vessels are, well, I'm just above 6 feet, and this is a Berlin Express, and I feel very small compared to it. Mahina?
And also, Shane, we spoke to the officials here at the Colombo port to find out how much containers can actually go into the Berlin Express. We've been seeing, containers being loaded onto the Berlin Express through these massive cranes you see here. And the officials said that usually a ship of this size could hold container capacity of 4,000. However, the number of containers that have been loaded and unloaded here at the Jaya Container Terminal to this vessel and from this vessel is of course 1,500. So it's quite intriguing actually to come here and to observe what is going on. Actually, you wouldn't really feel the time going by looking at all the activity taking place, the number of officials and the vast operations that is taking place here at the Colombo ports. Well, moving on to some sports news now, Shane. There was disappointment for Sri Lanka against Pakistan.
Yes.
A lot of people have been talking about the performance of the Sri Lanka cricket team, but here is an opportunity for the Sri Lankans to really bounce back and show that they are still in the game and that they're still a team to contend with.
That's right, Mahina. Incidentally, the Sri Lanka cricket squad left the island for their upcoming series against Bangladesh early this morning while we were setting up here at the Sri Lanka Ports Authority, the Jaya Terminal of the Colombo port.
The 50-member squad will be led by Angela Matthews, while Dinesh Chandimal will be his deputy. Kitron Vitanage has been brought in for Lahiru Thirimanne, who was left out for the recently concluded Test series against Pakistan due to a foot injury. Nuwan Kulasekara, who was also left out in that series due to injury, has not been named in the squad for the tour of Bangladesh. We called Ajantha Mendes back into the squad because we need a variation in our spin attack. I believe that Ajantha Mendes is an important player along with our other spinners Dilram Pereira and Rangana Herath, and we feel that Mendes has a good opportunity to perform in Bangladesh. The first test will be played on the 27th of this month in Dhaka. Sri Lanka's tour of Bangladesh consists of a 2-match test series, a 3-match ODI series and 2 2020s.
Well, the sun has come up and it's time for us to leave. Primetime sunrise has come to an end from the Jaya Container Terminal here at the Sri Lanka Harbour. Thank you very much for joining us. A big thank you to the Sri Lanka Ports Authority for facilitating this operation, for the staff and for Mr. Kulukula Surya, who joined us earlier on in the bulletin. They have been absolutely supportive of this move, and it is absolutely a historic moment for Newsfirst, as I said earlier. The first news provider to step out of the newsroom and come here to the Colombo Harbour and bring you the news from this majestic and beautiful location, Shane. And also a big thank you to everyone behind the scenes, the technical crew and the engineering division, who have really helped to bring about this news bulletin from the Colombo Harbour. It's no easy task, Shane. It's no easy task at all.
Indeed, it's not, Mahina. On behalf of the Newsfirst crew, I'm Shane Silva.
And I'm Mahina Bongso.
Have a good day.
Hotline 0114-896-896. www.newsfirst.lk. Feedback at newsfirst.lk.